All right, YouTube tells me I'm live, so I'm going to assume that I am. I think everything is up and running correctly on my end. Oop, that's the wrong button. If I do click anything, forgive me, I haven't live streamed in a while. If the audio is not coming through clearly or the video isn't, then just let me know and I will get that working. But it looks like everything is going, so I'm going to go ahead and start this live stream then. All right, so the point of this live stream is I've been needing a new workstation for a while, and I figured that we would pick out the parts together. So beyond just doing tutorials and software development, I also really am a tech enthusiast when it comes to hardware and building my own computers, and I know a fair bit about it. So for anyone who wants to also learn about it, this was a great time. You can talk to me about it and ask me what parts are important, what parts matter for building a gaming PC versus a media creation versus a game engine. Like if you want to, make your own games, what kind of computer and parts are best for that, then you can shout out, let me know, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. I know a fair bit. My goal is to go through, pick out parts that I like, and maybe take some suggestions from the audience on what is really good right now, some good deals out there, and get a computer built. After we go through this in a couple weeks when everything arrives, my goal is to also do a live stream of putting it together. Now, technically how that's going to work with building a computer while live streaming is going to be a little more complex. My goal is to do it. We'll see how that turns out. If that's something that interests you though, then stay tuned because that'll also be happening. So let's go ahead and see if I've got everything here working correctly. I should be able to switch scenes, and now you can see my screen, and I'm going to do most of my shopping here on Newegg. If you've not heard of Newegg, it is basically the one-stop shop for online PC parts. Amazon is also out there, but Newegg usually has the best deals. They have really good customer service when anything goes wrong. If you have to return any parts, then they are the best place to work with, at least in my experience. I've worked with them. I bought a lot of stuff from them over the many years that I've been doing this, and I've never really had an issue. So that's why I enjoy Newegg. So yeah, if you have any questions as we're going along, anything that you want me to look up or answer, if you have any questions about what I'm building or why I'm choosing out the parts I am, then give a shout out and I'll let you know. So let's go ahead and start with the CPU. So, I'm getting told my sound is weird. Let me see if I can quickly check that out. All right. Let me check out my audio really quick. I'm getting feedback that it doesn't sound very good. I want to make sure that it does. Oh. All right, give me 1 second, see if I can figure out what's going on with my audio. All right, let's see if that's any better. I've got a secondary audio source that I can jump to, which looks like that's what I need to do. Okay, let's see if the audio is any better now. I can hear myself. What do you guys think? All right. Thank you, meme guy. For some reason, all of your messages are getting marked as spam, but you were very helpful, so I appreciate that. All right. So then let's go ahead and jump back in. So first thing I'm going to start with is my CPU. So I have used AMDs in the past, and I've always really enjoyed AMD. Intel and AMD are the main two choices that you have when you're building a PC. And right now, AMD is just kind of taking the lead in everything, both in CPUs and GPUs. So they are kind of the cheapest and the best quality for the bang for the buck. So I'm going to go with an AMD. Intel's have in the past been the best option, but I think right now AMD is the best, if not tied for the best, depending on who you ask. I think everyone will admit AMD is doing really well right now. So I'm going to check out the AMD CPUs. They've got quite a few, and essentially what you're looking for and what you're paying for is cores and speed. So the more I'm also getting told that my face cam is a little laggy, but let me check that out. Let's see. The audio was definitely off, so meme guy helped me out there. So I'm going to pull up my stream real quick on YouTube here and make sure that my video is also working. Like I said, first time I've been live streaming, and I'm using a lot of new equipment here, so please do be patient. I'll get this right one day. Let's go and check this out though. All right. It's going to cause kind of an endless loop there, I think, but I'm not seeing a lot of lag on my end, so yeah, I'm going to go with that. If anyone else is experiencing any lag or my webcam doesn't appear to be working right, please also let me know. All right, so if anyone else thinks my webcam looks laggy, let me know, and I'll definitely see what I can do about that. But back to the CPU. So you've got ones ranging from, what is that, on sale, $172 to about $700. And right now what's kind of cool is all of the games come with free gifts. You get Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A lot of times for more pricey components, you'll actually get free gifts, and they'll try to entice you. Sometimes it can be a really nice bonus because I'm already planning on buying this, and so to get a free game on top of that, it's cool. But I would not recommend buying a specific component just to get the reward, even if it's a nice reward, because if it's not the one that suits you best, then it's not going to be the one that's best for your system. Fortunately, right now, I actually have a good bit of money, and I really want to invest in this system. I want it to last me a long time, and it's going to be the primary system for streaming, editing, game creation, and everything. So I'm going to invest a good bit of change in this. So I'm looking at the more expensive one, not the most expensive, but this one right here is the Ryzen 9 3900 XT, 12 cores, and let's see what those cores clock in at. I think that, let's see, 12 cores, 24 threads, up to 4.7 gigahertz. So when they put like max boost here, that's like what they can go to at the very top. But most of the time it's a little bit slower than that. I'm probably going to do some overclocking on my system just because I enjoy doing that from time to time. I'm not actually seeing what the regular frequency is. Maybe on this one it's already unlocked and just boosts itself. I kind of doubt it. So I'm guessing it's more along the lines of like 4 to 4.3 gigahertz, but that's still incredibly fast and a lot faster than whatever I have. So this is going to be a big upgrade. Oh, by the way, I have a public shopping list right here, or a wish list, and if you're watching, you can go on Newegg. The link is actually in the description down below, and you can add stuff to this. So if you have anything you want me to look at, besides just throwing it in the comments, you can put it up there, and we can kind of build this together. If you have any really cool looking components, I'd love to take a look at them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I just have to figure out how to actually add stuff to this list. So let's go and take a look at it. I'm going to go to add to wish list. Yeah, I'm not sure how to actually add specific things to this list. I looked at it before, but it didn't seem to work. Maybe that's what it is. New wish list. But I have to enter, let's try that. New. So I think you can add stuff to this wish list, and I can as well, but I'm not actually sure how that I add stuff to it. So if you figure it out, let me know. I'll see if I can do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and add this to a wish list. And I'm going to say, I'm going to call this my dream machine. I'm going to view that list and see if I can make that list public, because maybe that's what we'll do. Yeah, here we go. We'll do a build list. I'll make it public. We'll go here. And then I'll throw this permalink up on the settings instead so that you can join me in picking parts and building here. Here we go. Okay. Now it should be updated in the description, assuming that YouTube updates it properly from the live stream there. So now you can add stuff to this list. And now I'll use this tab to go through the next component. So I've got the processor here. Now the next thing I need to do is actually pick out a motherboard is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to go to components and motherboards. Part of the reason that I've been waiting is because with everything that's been going on in the world, shipments or stock has decreased a fair bit, and so there's been a lot of things that have been out of stock. I think things are starting to come back now, and there's at least enough that I'm pretty sure I can find all of the components that I want. So that's another reason why I'm doing it now. So I'm going to go to AMD Motherboards and kind of see what they've got here. Now motherboards are kind of the tricky thing. They're all over the place. Like they range from $80 to, I don't know, probably the most expensive ones are up in the thousands. And it can be really hard to actually see a value difference when it comes to motherboards because the things that they offer are not a wide gap, and it's a little bit harder to actually tell the difference. Like looking at a CPU or something, like I can tell that there's 12 cores versus 8 or 4. Looking at graphics cards, it's very easy to tell the RAM difference. But motherboards, like, take a look at this list right here. It's got, what is that, 12.5 bullet points, and they probably all have something just like that, just ever so slightly different. But yeah, the way I'm going to do this is actually go through and look at the best rated items. People on Newegg are really good at rating things, which is very helpful. And I have to make sure that it's going to fit. So I need an AM4 socket. When you're looking at this, it says AM4 for my CPU, so my motherboard has to fit AM4. So that's the biggest thing to check for there. And then I know I'm also going to need a full-sized motherboard because I'm going to have a large graphics card. So I need to make sure that it's also going to be full-sized. So it's going to be ATX. And that narrows it down by a fair bit. So now we can take a look at these ones. We've got quite a few on here still, and now they're a fair bit more expensive. Like you saw, there were some $70, $80 ones in the beginning, and now the cheapest ones here appear to be about 200 bucks. And that's because, well, here we go, 160. And that's just because now they're larger and they have to support the newest motherboards. So I'm making sure that what I get here is going to be the best and work for what I need. All right. I'm not looking to drop 360 bucks on a motherboard. That's a lot. But 200 is pretty nice. 300 is not outside of the realm of possibilities. So let's go ahead and compare these two here. Let's see what we've got. Ready for second and third gen. Yep, we know that. So when you come down and look at their product description, there's always lots of pretty things in there because they want to sell it to you. You got to actually get to the details to compare them. So what I'm looking for is I know I'm going to want an NVMe drive, at least one, which I think all of them in this price range will have that. But I also want, I don't care about Wi-Fi at all, but I think they're all going to have that in this price range too. I use Ethernet, I'm wired. If you're doing gaming or uploading, downloading a lot, you want to be wired. That's the way to go. So I don't really use the wireless at all. But let's take a look. Wi-Fi 6. A4, 4 times DDR4. Yep. Front panel connector. The front panel connector is nice. I usually have a lot of stuff plugged in there. And the USB 2.0 and 3.0 is a big deal too. I have a lot of accessories on my computer, a lot of external drives and such, and like even the plug-in for my webcam or my DSLR needs to have USB 3.0, so I definitely need to have that. And the PCI slots are also important, but for the most part, those are all the same across the entire thing. So 15, yeah, there's the NVMe slots right there. They're kind of hidden away. So this one is pretty nice. Looks like it has everything I want, but that's the more expensive one, so I would expect it to. Let's see if this one also has what I'm looking for. So USB 3.2. Okay, let's actually check out the specs on this one then. So I'm looking for NVMe slot and the number of USB 3.2. PCIe, that's for graphics cards and internal extensions. That's important to have lots of those. There are PCI Express 4.0 cards out and accessories coming, but those are still really rare and pretty expensive. So I'm not going to worry about having PCI Express 4. And I'm not sure. They might be backwards compatible. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. Yeah, so it says right here, PCI 4 will run 2 times speed when installing devices. Yeah. So I guess PCI 4 will work backwards compatible. We'll see. M.2, okay. 1 slot. I only need 1 slot, so that's fine. I don't need a lot more than that. 1 times USB 3. 1 times USB 3.2. 2 times Gen. Okay. ATX, RGB. Okay. So this one actually looks like it has everything that I want on it. Now, I don't remember it being 125. Did I? Click on... I'm seeing a price discrepancy here. MSI 450, B450 Tomahawks, 125. And then MSI B450 Tomahawks, 199? That's strange. Oh, it's on back order. So this one isn't even available yet. Well, I'll add this one to my list because this one I think will actually work. But I also really want one that is in stock. So I'm going to add this one to my list as well. And that way I can get it if this is the one I decide to go with. All right, so there's our motherboard, or at least one of them. So there's the motherboard and CPU. Next thing I'm going to take a look at are the graphics cards. So components, and there they are. Video graphics devices. So graphics cards are what powers everything you see on your screen. So, I mean, they're important for a lot of different things, gaming especially. For media creation itself, unless you're doing like intensive 3D rendering or you're creating your own graphics in like After Effects, graphics cards don't necessarily help you a lot there. When you're rendering long files, it can definitely increase it if your software is capable of pulling power from your GPU and your CPU. But when you're actually doing media creation, for the most part, the CPU is the most important thing. Now, when you're doing other things, so I'm going to be doing gaming, game development, streaming, I think can also use the GPU for different things. So I want to look at a pretty nice GPU to see what I can get, because it's going to be used in a lot of different areas. Now, I don't actually plan on gaming too much on my machine beyond capturing footage for future videos, stuff like that. I'm planning on taking the machine I have right now and setting that up as my family gaming machine. So the new one, I wanted to have a good graphics card, but not specifically for gaming. But, we'll see. I'll do bench tests on it and stuff like that. That'll be fun. So let's take a look. There's quite a few different ones, and the categories they have here can be kind of helpful. So the 4K gaming ones, let's take a look at those first. They say 4K gaming, and that's because I think they can deliver 4K. Now, the resolution at 4K is going to be very... it'll depend on how powerful the graphics card is. Like, you can set your settings at 4K with the lowest quality settings, or the highest quality, and you're going to get a very large difference there. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. The main ones that we're going to look at here are the RX 5700 XT, which is from AMD and is their most powerful graphics card, which is really nice. It can do 4K gaming. It could do virtual reality if I wanted to do that, which I'd love to someday. That'd be a lot of fun. But it's not as powerful as some of the NVIDIA options out there, such as the 2070 Super or the 2080. So the 5700 versus the 2070, I think, are about the same, but the 2070 Super is a fair bit more powerful. And so that's the one I am leaning towards. But there are also some benefits here. So like this one right here's got Death Stranding. This one's got $30 off. They all have something. This one right here has Godfall and World of Warcraft Shadowlands. I haven't actually heard of that yet. So there's a lot of different free things you can get. And even though I said you definitely shouldn't go based on the free stuff, it can be really tempting sometimes. Not going to lie. But I'm looking basically between the 5700 and the 2070 Super or the 2070. The Super is around, let's see, around 530, so around 500 to 600. The 5700 is around 400, depending on which which company you buy it from. If you're not familiar with graphics cards, there's a ton of different manufacturers. They all design them a little bit differently, and they all do a few different things. Like, they can put in different amounts of RAM. They can put in more or less fans. Like, this one right here is a 5700 XT, 8 gigabytes. This one right here is a 5700 overclocked. So, like, it's a little more expensive, and it looks different. And so choosing a graphics card can be really difficult. I've done a lot of research already, so like I have a pretty good idea of what I'm looking for here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just compare the two that I want to look at. I'll keep the 2080 up just because I'm not sure how much that is, but I think those are the only ones that I'm looking at. The other ones are a little too much outside my price point. I can't justify spending $800 on it when it's not going to be like a dedicated gaming machine. All right. So around 400 is at the 5700 XT. 550, 2070 Super, and let's see. Is there any 2080s on this page? There's not. Oh, this is a refurbished 2080, and here's a 2080 that's, okay, all the 2080s are out of stock. They're not even an option. That's good to know. So let's take a look. Put that one in a new tab, 600 bucks. I like the coloring on that. It's very pretty. This one's 570. Let's take a look. Compare those ones. This one's only 540. All right, let's take a look at these three for now. So, three of them, actually all the same card. They're all the 2070. So let's see what the actual big differences are here. So 8 gigabytes, GDDR6, same, and same, okay? Same amounts of RAM, boost clock, 1800, yeah. 2500 cores. That one doesn't list them. Let's go and actually look at the specs here. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, these are pretty much all the exact same card. So the big difference between them is this one has 2 fans. This one has 2, and this one has 3, which can make a pretty large difference. If you do a lot of long-term gaming, your computer can get quite warm. Your GPU can definitely overheat if it's not taken care of. I plan on taking care of mine fairly well. I'm going to have a good cooling system inside of it. So, okay. I'm leaning towards this one here, simply because it's got the highest number of reviews at 5 eggs, which is their stars, and it's the cheapest. So this one has 28 reviews, 600. I'm not seeing a reason to go with this one though. Besides the triple fans, and the cool blue, which is nice, but I think I'm gonna go with this one here. This looks nice. I'm gonna add this to my list, to my dream machine, and we'll call that good. Okay. So now we've got motherboard, GPU, and CPU. So right there, so if we're going with the $300 one, looks like we're at about $1,320 right now. So you can tell this is going to be more of a mid-range to enthusiast level, which is what they would call it, machine. So it's a little more expensive, but these are the biggest and most expensive parts. From here, everything is going to be under $200 or so, and some of the parts are going to be a lot cheaper. So not all of them are going to be nearly this expensive. And if anyone out there watching, you have any questions, do feel free to let me know. I am here and ready to answer them. So I'm going to move on to the next component, which is going to be the case. Now, this is the one that I'm probably worried about the most, just because the case is super important. I really like having a nice case. When I say nice for me, that kind of means that it's easy to move if necessary. My case right now has like handles on the top, and it's like military grade, so I can just lift it up after I unplug everything, and it's super easy to carry. The sides come off without any screws, which is also really nice for upgrading. And those are things that I think about and that are important to me. So that's kind of what I want to look at. I also have a lot of ports that I also really like having ports on the front. And a lot of these gaming cases don't. But hey, we'll take a look at it. Let's go with gaming cases first, just because they usually look the coolest, but they're not always the best in terms of portability or usability, in my opinion. But it looks like they actually have a good number of cases in stock. Last time I was doing this, they were pretty much out of all of the cases that I wanted when I was looking a couple months ago, which is why I didn't buy anything then. I was very disappointed in their choices, and now it looks a lot better. So let's go and take a look at some of these. So we can zoom in a little bit. I do like the RGB quite a bit. It's very nice. It's not the only thing I'm looking at for sure. Like this one actually has 4 USB ports, power. Looks like it's got everything up front there, which is very nice. Now the thing to think about is that the case doesn't need to necessarily fit the motherboard because it's actually going to fit. But if I have 4 USB ports on the front here, does the motherboard I'm actually looking at also have 4 ports that I can put up there? Because if not, then I'm kind of wasting and it would be really annoying. So let me take a quick look at rear panel onboard. Okay, so it looks like it has 4 USB ports that I can put up front. So, okay. So the motherboard I'm looking at would support having 4 USB slots up front, which to me is kind of the important part. So let's get a different view over here. Okay. Looks like it requires screws to take off the sides, which isn't ideal, but it looks fairly roomy in there, which is nice. Alright, I do kind of like this one. I'll throw this one up in a new tab, and then go see if I can find one that's a little bit different. So these ones over here, I always kind of liked. This is very similar to the look I have right now. I like mine more than this one, but it also has the slots. So I have a DVD reader, and I'll probably end up getting a Blu-ray reader just because I do actually burn some discs sometimes, and I like to be able to take my media. I still have some DVDs and Blu-rays and be able to convert them to mine. But I suppose if I have my old computer, I don't actually need the ability to install them, but it's still really nice. So it's something that I am thinking about. Okay, now that's kind of ugly. That right there is not very pretty. Yeah. No, I'm not liking that one at all. Is that? Oh, these are the featured items. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of them. Let's go ahead and sort by best rating here. Alright. 101 5-star. That's pretty nice. Let's take a look at this. Fractal. I'm not too familiar with the actual names of gaming or case manufacturers. Maybe some of you are. I'm definitely not. This one has a USB-C port on front. Ooh, that's nice. USB-C is kind of becoming what everyone is using, and that's kind of cool to see. Let's take a look at the side ports. So that's the other. That's the back. That's the back too. Let's see. There's the main side. Okay, it's clean. I like the black. It looks kind of cool. It doesn't light up. It doesn't look like it's, super like shiny like these ones here, but that's okay. I really don't need it to light up and glow in the dark. I got a really nice mouse and keyboard lately, and a mouse pad that all lights up from Razer. That was my Father's Day gift, and I'm really happy with that. I don't need my actual case to glow. So, oh, thank you, meme guy. I appreciate you being in there, helping out, making sure the live stream's working well. But if I found one that did glow, I wouldn't mind. I know you can always install RGB fans yourself and do a lot of extra work, but I probably wouldn't actually go through the process of doing that. The other thing I have to make sure when I'm looking at these is that they're actually full size. That's always been the really big eliminator. Now these ones might all be full size, which is important because I've got a full-sized motherboard and my graphics card, so I have to have a full-sized case. And it looks like these are, I'm not seeing a way to filter them, which makes me think that they are all, but maybe not. This is a mid-tower, so what was this design? Yeah, this is a mid-tower computer case as well. I'll have to look at the dimensions, make sure everything is actually going to fit. That's a really big thing. When you're looking at computer parts, you got to not necessarily look at the exact like inches and measurements of everything, but you want to make sure that if you pick up a motherboard and a large graphics card, that it's actually going to fit inside of your case. Now you can return it if you had to. It'd be annoying and then you wouldn't be able to build your computer for a little while, so you want to get it right the first time around. Like this one right here says full tower. So let's take a closer look at this one. This one does not look super nice, but it looks like it is kind of utilitarian. 4 USB ports. It looks like it just kind of works. So, not great. Definitely doesn't draw my attention. They have a couple of different additions. The airflow I like. Okay, here's a case for $735. I'm going to go ahead and back right on out of that. That's if you can drop $800 on a case, congratulations, you're doing very well. I am not doing that well. I'm going to back out of the gaming section here and see if I can just do a search for ATX full towers. There we go. So let's take a look at that, because that's a little more interesting to me. That's a little more required, actually. So, oh, here's this one again, but in a full tower case. So I'll get rid of this one and keep that one up then. Ooh, that's a shiny one, but it looks pretty large. And that one's out of stock. Let's take a closer look at this one. 230, very shiny. Probably unnecessary. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to go with this one here. The fractal case just in the ATX full size. Let's see if they have it in dark tint. It looks like they do. I don't know what solid pan. Oh, okay. I do like being able to see inside my computer. And the dark tint is $20 cheaper. So I'm going to go with the dark tint one. I'm going to add this to the wish list of Dream Machine. Remember, if you're just joining in, I have a link in the description. You can start adding stuff to my wish list here as well. If you have any parts you want me to take a look at, or if there's something that you think would go great in this build, let me know. So I'm going to put that in there and say that we now have a case. So now I'm going to take a look at drives. And I need to stop clicking so much. Okay, components. We're going to take a look at not memory, hard drives and SSDs. Yeah. So hard drives, obviously how much space you have. Nowadays though, it's a lot more complex than when I first started building computers, which might be dating me or not. I don't know. I don't think I'm that old. But back when I was starting, you had just hard drives. And if you wanted to get really fancy, they were starting to have SSDs, but I'm not even sure they were around when I first started. Now you've got, what is there? There's tons of different options. There's a lot. The way to break it down, though, is you've got ones that look like this, like a stick of RAM. Those are going to be the fastest, essentially the fastest. There's a point at where your drive speed goes so fast that you don't gain anything from it, or at least you gain so little, it's not worth paying the extra money. So these ones right here, the NVMe's, they're really nice. They're like, I think they're like, they can be up to like 100 times faster than these regular SSDs, and these SSDs are like 10 times faster than hard drives. So you're jumping speeds tremendously if you're coming from a hard drive. The biggest upgrade you can do for an old computer, whether it be a laptop or a desktop, is actually to buy an SSD. Not even an NVMe SSD, just like one of these SSDs. Your computer will load up and go so much faster. It actually like saves old computers. So I'm going to move on to an NVMe as my primary drive, and then I've got about 20 terabytes of storage that I have. I've got like 12 terabytes internal and then another 10 terabytes external. I have a lot of video content and a lot of old stuff, and not all of it's being used, but I have a lot of content and I need to make sure I have space for that. So I'm going to pick up a terabyte NVMe, which is going to be PCIe or SATA. Now, I have to remember which one this is. Oof. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to cheat really quickly. I'm going to go to a list I made before. Here we go. This is the one I was looking at when I was looking at building a computer a couple of months ago. So, Rocket NVMe PCIe. Okay, so I want a PCIe Express one. Drive writes 3200, 2000. This is the terabyte, and it's 120, which I think is about the same size it was before. I don't remember them having an 8 terabyte version though. Dang, $1,500 for an 8 terabyte hard drive. Whew. Well, to each their own. Okay, so I want a PCI Express. I'm going to back out of this one here and go to this one. Now, they have Gen 4 right here as well. I don't think there's a big difference. I really don't. I'm going to take a look at one of them. Let's take a look at their read and write speeds. Will be the most interesting thing. So here's what they show. So on a Gen 4 SSD, it has read speeds of 5,000 megabytes a second, read speeds of 4,400 compared to 35 and 33. So that's a pretty big difference. And this is actually a really great chart just in general. You can kind of see, like, here's the regular SATAs at 550 and 520, and then here's like your traditional hard drives spinning at 7,200 RPM, which you can also get slower, 200 and 125. So SATAs are already almost 3 times, 4 times faster, and then you jump up to 3.0, and then you jump up to 4.0, and it just gets ridiculously fast. Now, from what I understand, this is incredibly quick, but you really start losing quality. Like your hard drive and your OS, like, it just can't do that. Even if it can, it's in such minute like times that like you're barely ever going to get it. Like if you were transferring 20 terabytes worth of stuff, yeah, Gen 4 would be significantly quicker. But how often are you going to do that? You're going to do it once. And when you do it, you're probably just going to set it up to do it overnight or something, and it's just going to go. So, not a big deal. So I'm not going to look at Gen 4. It's $100 more. Just don't think it's worth it. It's really cool. I'd love to if I had the money, but I don't have that kind of money, so I'm just going to stick with the Gen 3. So I am looking for a terabyte. So I'm going to hit that capacity here. And let's take a look at what we've got. So crucial here, 1 terabyte, up to 2,000, $12 off. Woohoo! Well, $12 off is still pretty nice. Let's see. Here's a Western Digital one. WD is one of the best known brands when it comes to storage and memory. They're the most reliable. I have several hard drives that are many years old still WD and still running just fine. So WD is a really great brand. I'm gonna probably go with them just because like I know that they're gonna work well for a very long time. So yeah, I'm gonna add this one to my list. I think that'll work great. And I don't need a regular hard drive. I'm pretty happy with what I've got. And like I said, I've got lots of storage already. So we're good there. So let's take a look at everything we've got right now. Apparently it wants me to sign back in. Cool. All right. So we've got CPU, memory, GPU, case, and motherboard. Need a power supply. Let's go and take a look at that. Now, power supply is usually not very sexy, not that interesting. You just make sure that it's strong enough for whatever you're doing. And the biggest thing I've seen is just to make sure that it's 80 watts certified or 80 plus certified. That way, like, it's just make sure that it's the best quality that you can get. You don't really want to skimp on a power supply. Like, if you're going to save money anywhere, there's a lot of places to do it when you're building a computer. A power supply is not the place, because if the power supply goes bad, it can fry everything it's attached to. It can set your computer on fire. Very rare, but it is possible. Like if you got a super cheap one on eBay or a used one that you weren't sure of its quality, bad. So spend a few extra bucks, get a good solid power supply every time you build. Very important. Let's go and check out See All. So I'm not going to need one that's super powerful, but I am going to need one probably around 600 watts, just that way if I do upgrade in the future, I don't need to worry about not having enough. So let's just make sure that we've got one. Let's go ahead. Yeah, I can't even sort by wattage. Let's go ahead and sort by best rating then. So 550, yeah, it's not as much as I would like. Here's one for 600 and it's modular. 550 watts is probably enough. I could actually go through and like look at the math on that. It's not very complex math. It actually tells you like right here, like this is 105 watts. Let's see. My GPU. What does its draw? Let's see if I can just look at. No, it doesn't have watts somewhere. Power supply. Okay, so the recommended power supply here is 650. So that right there tells me I need to go with at least 650 to be on the safe side. I doubt I would ever reach 650. That's like if you're overclocking this thing. But, and probably like if you had two of them for SLI and overclocked them, you probably reach 650. Highly unlikely I ever would, but I also don't want to take the risk that I do need 650. So we're going to go with that. So here's a thermal take one, 650 gold SLI crossfire ready. Yeah, really, it's a power supply. There's not a whole lot that changes when you're looking at them. This is the non-LED version. Let's take a look at the LED one. Okay, that's kind of pretty. Having a glowing power supply would be cool, but not worth it to me. So let's make sure that that's going to be the best one for what I need. It's a little expensive, but it's also 650 watts, which I'm not actually seeing here much. Here's 750. Oh, those are out of stock. So it doesn't matter. Okay, so I guess the decision was made for me. Here's 650 watt power supply. I'm going to add that to my list. Okay, now let's take a look. What other components am I going to need? I've got CPU. I need memory now. So memory is going to be my RAM. And here, I'm thinking about doing 32 gigs of RAM, which should be more than enough for what I want to do. My current system has 16 gigs, and I hear my video is a little laggy, but for everything else, 16 gigs has been plenty. I do want to jump up and make it future-proof, so 32 is where I'm going to go, but that's a lot. And it's going to be a little more expensive, but that's okay. The cool thing about a lot of RAM these days is that it's got like RGB on it, and a lot of it's not that much extra priced for the RGB. So, yeah. I do want DDR4, and I'm going to go with 8 gigabytes per module. It's going to add up to 32 gigs altogether. So now I just have to try to find the best price. And I'm probably going to have to buy 2 of them because a lot of these just come in 2 pairs. If I wanted to look at like 16 gigabyte modules, then that would work. And my motherboard can support, let's take a look. So it supports DDR4 RAM, and the specs on it, I think it said it can support 64 gigs. So I could go up. I could do 16 gigabyte RAM modules if I really wanted to, but I just don't. I don't need to pay that extra money, and I don't need that much. I don't need that much RAM. So let's go ahead and try and sort again by best rating. All right. RAM, for the most part, RAM just either works or it doesn't. You rarely have issues when actually putting RAM in. Like, if you don't put your RAM in all the way, which I've definitely done before, it can cause a little bit of a spark and smoke. I have done that. It is very bad. But for the most part, if you just put the RAM in, you clip the sides in, you're all set, and it's going to work just fine. If it doesn't work, then it's probably DOA or dead on arrival, so you just return it and get a working one. And other than that, RAM doesn't really do a whole, there's not a whole lot more to do with it. You can overclock RAM. I do not recommend it unless you know exactly what you're doing, because the RAM is designed to run at a very specific frequency and voltage, and you go around messing with that, you can fry everything, or at least the RAM and the motherboard. So just get your RAM, put it in correctly, and you'll be good to go. So what I'm looking at here, let's see. This one looks really nice, 102. I really like the look of this. Corsair is a very good brand when it comes to RAM. And this one, wow, $65. That's a really good price. It doesn't have RGB, and this one right here is just super pretty. It's definitely catching my eye, this white one. But, yeah. I've used Ripjaws in the past. They were fine. Nothing wrong with them. So I know that's a decent brand, at least for what I had. I've never heard of GL AMD edition. Looks like it's got some decent ratings. It's pretty cheap. Looks like it's specifically to go with AMD. This is at 3200. My motherboard can support up to 3466, which would be the fastest, but I don't necessarily need the fastest. 34 or 3200 is still really quick. It would definitely be everything I need. Hardcore gaming memory. Ooh. You gotta wonder, the people that write these ads and come up with them, how much time do they spend just like in a thesaurus coming up with the most colorful words that they can use to describe it? Because every product page has so many of these images and descriptions, and they all have to try to stand out and, you know, make you want to buy it. And it just makes me laugh sometimes. Okay. I wouldn't consider myself a hardcore gamer in need of hardcore gaming memory, but I do kind of like the look of them. And they're tied for the cheapest at $66. Or I guess almost the cheapest. And yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will take a chance on those. If anything goes wrong, then, I mean, they'll be under warranty for a while, so I'm not super concerned about it. I'm going to add these to my wish list. If I had I might still change it. These ones right here are super pretty. And since I've got a black case, I feel like a white RAM with an RGB on top would look really, really sleek. But that's if like I had everything white. So the motherboard I've got is right here. MSI B450 Tomahawk Max AM4. So you can let me know what you think of that. Is that Dilip? Dilip? I'm not sure. I don't want to butcher your name. But this is what I've got so far. Nothing is final. If you have any suggestions for me, do feel free to leave a link, or you can add it to the actual shopping wish list I've got here. I've made it public, so you can add stuff to there if you want me to look at it. Motherboards are probably my biggest weakness, as in I don't know enough about them to talk confidently. Everything else, fairly so, but motherboards, I kind of just go with what's best rated and what I know is going to work. Oh, wait. Sorry. This is the one I'm looking at, but it's on back order. The other one is this one here, the Asus AMD AM4 ROG Strix X570E Gaming ATX motherboard. Whew. Okay. So if the other one isn't available when I go to order, which probably will be today or tomorrow, then that's going to be the one I go to. So, yep, this one's really pretty. I'm going to add it to my wish list. I don't think I'm going to get it, but it's really pretty. I like it. Now let's take a look at what else we need. We've got CPU, we've got memory, motherboard, we have a video card, we have a case, power supply, fans and PC cooling. I don't plan on doing a lot of overclocking. I like playing around with it, but I don't plan on doing like any water cooling or anything like that. So for the most part, I don't think I need these. If there's place for my case fans, or if I want to upgrade, I'll do that down the road. But if my fans all work and my computer doesn't get too hot, I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I'm being told that you're saying getting the B550, it's future proof. Let's check out the B550 motherboard. I have heard a little bit that the next series of AMD is not going to be backwards compatible with every motherboard, and so that specific ones will be, like I think these ones here. So that is something that I will keep in mind. So let's take a look at these motherboards here. So the B550 specifically will, I think, work with future AMD CPUs, and so it makes more sense to pick that up. So let me check out. So I'm using the other one I'm looking at is the X570. Kumar, is that one going to be future-proof as well, or is it not? I mean, it's more than 550, but PC parts naming, when you're just getting into it, PC parts naming is one of the most confusing things in the world. It is awful. Especially if you've been around for a while, because CPUs and GPUs will like go up to like 9,000 and then they'll come back down. Like now we're at the NVIDIA 2070, but a couple of years ago it was at like the 9000 series. And so if you've been around and following it for too long, then all of a sudden now you've got like different numbers and like they mean totally different things. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, while I wait for my commenter to get back to me on the 570, let's take a look and make sure we're not missing anything else here. So, server components, don't need. Sound cards, no. I don't think I need any right now. I've already got a hard drive. I picked out my SSD. My case isn't going to have any place for CDs or DVDs or anything. So if I do any of that, it's going to be in the computer I have now. So I'm not going to worry about that. Network attached storage is interesting, but it has nothing to do with the actual computer I am building. So I don't think I need to worry about that. Let's go ahead and refresh this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one out. It is not here, so I'm going to delete that. Let's take a look at our total. I'm at 1944.93. About what I wanted to spend, which is actually kind of surprising. Now, let's see. The only thing that I don't have on here is a monitor. I was looking at getting a new monitor. So let's take a look at these. I've got two really nice monitors set up side by side. They're both 1080p though, and they're both fairly old. I would like to get one that's at least 1440p, if not 4K. I don't do a lot of 4K content yet. I do think that when the internet infrastructure in the world gets better, 4K is going to be the new norm. I would guess a couple of decades, if not more. So I'm not really worried about that, but a 4K monitor would be really nice to be able to still shoot in 4K, edit, make sure the colors, everything looks good, and then downscale it to 1080p because downscaled 4K looks better. So I'm looking at a 4K monitor. I think it would be kind of the nicer way to go, but we'll see. 4K monitors are very expensive, at least nice ones are. So I'm looking more at a 1440p larger curved display as my primary, and then having a secondary over here that I can use, like, you know, to put my stream up and to be able to follow along and do stuff like that. So let's go ahead and narrow this down then. Yeah. I'm not sure what size I want, but I probably want it larger than that. We're going to go with 1440p. And so there's two different versions of 1440p. I think 2560 is the more frequented one. Like that's the more common one. And then there's 4K here as well. So I'm going to apply that. And so we just see 1440p and 4K monitors. I've heard curved monitors are also really nice when you get a good one, but I've never used one myself. So I'm a little hesitant to drop a lot of money on one, but I might be willing to. If any of you have had good experiences with curved monitors, I'd love to hear about that. Let's see. Why am I getting an ad for RAM? I already have my RAM. I love some of these ads, like world's first tactical monitor. What does that even mean? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, here's a 4K monitor for $1,100. 43 inches though. That's basically a TV. It's under monitors, but that's a TV. That's in the wrong place right there. You'll notice that monitors don't come with free stuff. I don't know why. I don't know if monitors are just actually really expensive to make, and so like giving away free stuff with them is bad, or if it's just the industry and that's just how it's come about. But I found it very interesting that CPUs and GPUs come with lots of free gifts, and monitors and RAM and cases don't. It's very interesting to me. If you know why, give me a shout out. Let me know. All right, let's take a look at some of these best rated monitors. So like here's a 27-inch IPS 1440p monitor. AMD FreeSync certified, 144 hertz. That's really nice. The gaming monitor part of it is nice, but I am more interested in the, I guess, the high frequency is nice, but also the color accuracy is what I'm really interested in. Making sure that it's going to look nice. And I would not mind a curved one, but that is not a game killer. Okay, so that's a pretty nice one. Let's keep looking. $1,200. That's half the cost of my whole computer right there. Man. That's crazy. I know monitors get expensive. I get it. I have really cheap ones. So I might be a little sticker shocked when I come to looking at expensive ones. It's true. Yeah, here's one for $600. Curved, 27-inch, 1440p, frameless design. That does look real nice. Like, not having a border around it. I gotta admit, that looks really cool. It's, yeah. I don't need speakers built into it. As you can see, I have headphones. They're Bluetooth, but they work really nice. They have no lag. I've never had an issue with them, and I love these headphones. So I don't need speakers on my monitor. Ooh. Man. Dual screening, $600 monitors. That's the dream right there. That is the dream. Here's a Samsung. See, I don't think I want a 32-inch monitor. It's just too much. Like, my desk is only so large. I can't fit a 32-inch or a 43-inch TV monitor on my screen. It's just not gonna work. But I can fit a 27-inch one, and this one looks really nice. It's still pretty expensive, but it's within the budget that I have. And this would be my primary monitor for color grading, video editing, and everything. So it would be really nice. That's also a big limit in my screencast tutorials right now, is I only can do 1080p, and that's because I have a 1080p monitor. Now, I've seen people do like 4K screencast stuff before, and sometimes their text is tiny. So if I get a nicer monitor, I promise I will still have large text in all of my videos so that it's easy to read, because I know that's really annoying. This one is really nice though. I am thinking about this one. Definitely a luxury, but one that I kind of want. But let's see. Here's one for $400. This one's $430. 27-inch, slight border around it, but still really nice. And by the way, and if you're looking at monitors, from everything that I understand about them, companies can kind of lie through their teeth when it comes to the numbers, and they can get away with it because of technically it's telling the truth. Like when they look at their contrast ratios and some of these, I don't know, whatever these enhancements are, like they're making these things up, so like they get to say whatever they want. But when it comes to contrast ratios and such, they can say what they want because the way that one company measures it is completely different from the other company, and so both numbers might be true. Like they might say like 1 to a million or something. I think that's a regular contrast number that's thrown out there, like 1 to a million. But the way that company A tests it is not the same as company B, and so the value itself is completely meaningless, and yet they get to put it on here and say that that's what it is. So you want to look at reviews specifically when it comes to monitors, because what's put on there is not a guarantee that of what it actually is. It's just not. You got to be really careful about that. Now, here's a really nice one. Here's 31.5-inch curved monitor. Wow. That's the biggest monitor I've seen on here so far. That'd be pretty large. Interesting. Let's see, is that it? Yeah. I think that might be all of them. Oh, no. There's more of them down here. They just didn't load yet. Okay. But I also kind of feel like looking through monitors is a little boring and a little outside of the scope of what I've done here. So hopefully I've given you some good information, and this has been somewhat enjoyable. The overall, let's take a look at my wish list. Where did it go? It is gone. All right. Let's take a look at my wish list here. This is what I've come up with thanks to some help. So we've got the AMD A4 ROG Strix X570. I'm going to do a little more research into the B550 motherboards, just make sure that this one is future-proof as well. I've got a Fractal Design full ATX case, which is really nice, or extended ATX, which is what I want. I've got the RTX 2070 Super, which I'm kind of excited. Looks like I get Death Stranding with that, so I've heard a lot of different things about the game, so I'm going to check that out for myself. I've got 32 gigs of RAM from Geal from some company, and I'm kind of excited to see how well that works and to make sure that that's actually going to be really good RAM. I'm probably not going to go with the Corsair, even though I love the design. Then I've got a 1 terabyte NVMe with the extra hard drive space I already have. I'm just going to take it from this desktop and put it in my new one. I've got a 650 watt power supply and the AMD Ryzen 9 3900 XT 12 core. And I get Assassin's Creed Valhalla with that, so I'll probably be playing that and letting you know what I think on that game as well. The total for this comes out to $1944, and I'm probably going to pick up at least one monitor, probably just one with the prices that I'm looking at. So that's going to be the PC that I make. Hopefully this was at least somewhat enjoyable and you learned something from it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell. I'm going to do more videos, not necessarily like this one, depending on the reactions I get and what you all think, but I would also love to do a video of putting the PC together. I enjoy building computers quite a bit, and I know a lot of people think it's very intimidating, and it's really not. It's actually a fairly simple thing, especially when you have help. I say that because I've done it so many times, but I'm pretty confident I can help you learn that it's simple as well. So that's something I'm looking forward to do probably in a couple of weeks when everything arrives. If you want to see that, do let me know. If there's anything that I can do better, definitely let me know as well. Like I said, I haven't live streamed in a while. I think we got the audio worked out after the beginning. Hopefully the video isn't too bad or laggy for everyone and that it's been okay. So that's what I've got for you though. There's a lot more stuff coming down the line. I've got a lot of videos scheduled and I'm working on a lot. There's new content coming out. If you want to see the behind the scenes stuff, check out my Patreon. I post there. I'm posting there more and more frequently with what's going on and things you can expect. And you can also get early access to my content there as well. If you want some specific courses from me, you can check out my website at Let's Learn This Together, if I can type correctly. And you can get some courses from me on there. If you've purchased anything from me in the past, I'll give you a discount coupon for the bundle so that you don't have to pay full price or buy things more than one time. So that's what I've got for you today. Thanks for joining me. And as always, keep making, keep learning, and I'll talk to you later.